Hi everyone, welcome to A Muggle's Guide to Hogwarts, where we are exploring the Harry Potter series with the ultimate Muggle, someone who has never read the books, never seen the movies, and never really wanted to until I asked her to on this podcast. That's Becki.
Hi.
We're here, we're back after a little bit of a break. Sorry about that. Sometimes real life things get in the way and we have to work on other things. But we're back. Today we're going to be talking about chapters 10, 11, and 12 of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Last episode, Becki made predictions for what she thought was going to happen. We're going to go through and discuss what actually happened, if she was right, if she was wrong. And at the end of this episode, Becki is going to make predictions for the next 3 chapters of the book. Should we get into it?
Yeah, stuff is happening.
Yeah, there's a lot going on
Stuff
right
is
now.
heating up.
Things are picking up. It's getting complicated.
Yeah, very.
So let's start with chapter 10. It's called The Marauder's Map.
Yeah, did we ever determine what a marauder actually is?
Yeah, we talked about this last time.
What did we say it was last time?
I feel like it's like a pirate type person.
Right. That's what I thought. But was I right?
I think so.
Okay.
I think it's, yeah.
Somebody who's up to no good,
Yeah.
kind of?
I mean, that kind of relates to the
yeah.
map
Yeah.
more. But I think marauders are like pretty not good people.
Okay. Cool.
But in this case, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just kind of people that are up to no good.
If you rearrange the letters, is it called the murderer's map?
Don't think so.
Okay.
Close though.
Yeah.
So
basically any word that I don't know, I'm like, how do we rearrange the letters?
That's a good approach.
Even though marauder is a real word that I did kind of know. But
in general, that's a really good approach for these books.
Oh gosh. Okay. Yes. So Harry's in the hospital again.
Yeah.
He spends a lot of time in the hospital.
He gets beat up a lot in these books.
Yeah. Have you ever been to the ER or had to spend the night in a hospital?
I don't think I've ever had to spend the night in the hospital. I've been to the ER a couple of times.
Yeah.
For minor things.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't think I've ever spent the night in a hospital. Have you?
No, I've never spent the night in a hospital. I think I've also been to the ER like once.
Yeah, we're just better at avoiding injury.
Guess
than
he's been there
Harry
like
Potter.
every year.
A lot of times it's not his fault though.
Right.
I mean, this time Dementors came onto the Quidditch pitch. I said Quidditch.
Quidditch.
The Quidditch pitch, and he fell off his broom. That's pretty serious.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this chapter starts with him in the hospital wing, and his Nimbus 2000 was smashed by the Whomping Willow, and he's kind of all sad. And then eventually, another Hogsmeade visit rolls around.
Yeah, but he was allowed to go last time. Why is he not allowed to go this time?
He wasn't allowed to go last time. He's never been allowed to go.
How did he go last time?
He didn't go last time. Remember at the beginning of the story, he tries to get his permission slip signed and Uncle Vernon doesn't sign it. Then he has to run away and then McGonagall doesn't sign it. And so last time, only Ron and Hermione went. Yeah. Only Ron and Hermione went last time and they brought him back some sweets.
Sometimes because I make the predictions and then we read it, sometimes the prediction sticks in my head more than what actually happened. Because it's like the first time.
You're like, you have several competing storylines going on in your head.
It's tough. Okay.
So he's never been to Hogsmeade, but another trip happens. They do a couple trips a year, and another one's coming up, and Harry's kind of all sad because he can't go. And so he's just wandering around the castle.
Yeah.
And then he bumps into Fred and George.
Yeah.
And Fred and George give him a piece of parchment. And they explain that it's called the Marauder's Map. And they tell him how to use it.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty cool. Although we were talking about it yesterday and you said it shows where everyone is at Hogwarts. I thought it just showed like the important people, like the professors or Harry since he has the map. But it shows everyone?
Yeah.
And aren't there like hundreds and hundreds of students?
I don't know how many students there are. I think, okay, so there's 7 years at Hogwarts,
Mm-hmm.
and there's,
Probably like at least 100 per year.
I don't think so. Maybe. There's like a class of incoming students,
Mm-hmm.
and in the first book, there were like 15, 20 students, maybe 30.
Just because of the Sorting Hat, are you saying that? Or just because?
Yeah, just because based on context from the Sorting Hat.
Mm,
I don't know. I don't think it's ever revealed, but I don't think the class sizes are that big.
okay.
But I think the idea behind this map is that it shows everyone in the castle, it labels them,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see where they are, where they're going.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it's a pretty crazy map, a pretty huge invasion of privacy. And Fred and George have been using this to do crazy things for their entire time they've been at Hogwarts.
Yeah, it helps them like play their practical jokes and stuff, right?
Yeah. And the reason that they give this map to Harry is because this map shows several different passageways that lead out of the castle,
Mm-hmm.
one of which goes right into Hogsmeade, into Honeydukes, which is like the candy shop.
What's this thing with like hogs? Like Hogwarts, Hogsmeade. Like, what's this hog obsession
I don't
in the
know.
magic world?
Maybe it's just kind of goofy. I don't know. Maybe Hogsmeade came after Hogwarts, or maybe Hogwarts came after Hogsmeade and they were named after each other.
Like they're like
Maybe
sister.
maybe that's the region where they're in. They're in
Maybe
the Hogs region.
So everything, yeah, it's kind of funny.
So they give him this map. They show him how to use it. He has to tap it and say, "I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good."
Mm-hmm.
And then the map reveals itself. And importantly, the map notes that it was created by 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they introduce themselves as Messrs. Wormtail, Mooney, Padfoot, Prongs. So those are the people that created the Marauders map. And then when you're done using it...
We don't know any of those people. We don't know those people, right?
We haven't heard any of those names. And then when you're done using it, you tap it and you say mischief managed, and it turns back into like a blank sheet of parchment.
So you like can't get caught with it.
Right.
Gotcha.
I have no idea how Fred and George figured that out, but they did. So Harry takes it and uses it to go to Hogsmeade.
Yes. He takes a secret passage. He's miles under the school again. I was like, what's going to happen on this secret passage? He's underneath Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Does the map show all of the places underneath Hogwarts? Because
I don't know.
Seems to be a lot.
I don't know. Yeah, why couldn't they just like look at that and find out where the Chamber of Secrets was,
right?
And like where their
He's
sister Ginny was?
He's so far underneath the school. It talks about the staircase just like going up and up and up and up and up and out of sight, and that was funny.
So he goes to Hogsmeade and goes to Honeydukes, and he runs into Ron and Hermione.
Is this the first time butterbeer is mentioned? Or I think it's mentioned before, but the first time he has it?
Yes. This
finally.
Is the first time we finally
gosh.
get to butterbeer. We have to make butterbeer. Let's find a recipe for butterbeer and see if we can make it.
You can make it?
I'm sure you can.
Okay.
I'm
Is it
sure
supposed to be like
home.
sweet?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like I've had it. So I've been to Harry Potter World, and I had like the alcoholic butterbeer.
Was it warm or was it like a beer?
Oh, I can't remember.
Because I was surprised in the book, and the description says it's warm, and warm beer sounds absolutely disgusting.
Well, that's how they drink it over there. Across the pond.
Ooh.
It's like overwhelmingly sweet. I don't have a sweet tooth, and I could not handle it.
Yeah.
It's very sweet.
Does it taste like popcorn? For some reason, I feel like...
no, because you're thinking of like butter.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of like the jelly beans that were like popcorn flavored that were kind of gross.
No, it doesn't taste like popcorn. It tastes more like caramel kind of... I don't know.
Okay.
It's just overwhelmingly sweet.
Maybe we
like
could
toffee, maybe
find a recipe and try to make one at home that was maybe a little less sweet.
Yeah. I say we try that.
Okay. This holiday season. Also, this was kind of, I always like it when this happens when I read books where like your reading kind of lines up with like where the book is. Like this is in holiday season. It's talking about getting ready for Christmas break and stuff. And like, we're in December now. I don't know. I just always find that
It is kind of
really
funny.
cool. And every once in a while you're reading a book and like, it's the exact date that it is. Like that's happened to me many times that it's like September 5th. And I'm like, oh my God, it's September 5th now. And I don't know. I just think that's like really cool when that happens.
Yeah, that's fun. So one other really important thing happens in this chapter is when they go to the Three Broomsticks, where they get their butterbeer.
Right.
They hide behind a Christmas tree and eavesdrop on a very important conversation.
Yes. So all the professors come in because they're like getting lit before final exams or whatever.
yeah.
Too. So all the professors come into the same bar that these 12-year-olds are in.
Mm-hmm.
That's not weird. And have a big, long, loud conversation about everything Harry Potter needs to know about Sirius Black, which is great.
Very convenient that they're
Yeah.
right there. They don't seem to worry about any of the other students or anybody else in there. It's just like Fudge comes in, the
Yeah.
fucking Minister of Magic, and he just lays it all out. He's just like, here's what's going on, guys. You've waited long enough through the book. We're about halfway through.
Yeah.
Why don't I just tell you
We
what's
just
going on?
dump a bunch of information on you.
So here is like really important information. We learn that Sirius Black and James Potter were best friends.
Yeah.
They were like best men at their wedding. Well,
Yeah, it's
Sirius was best man at his at James' wedding.
He's his godfather.
Yeah,
That's a big drop.
that's a huge drop.
Mm-hmm.
And then we learn that essentially Sirius Black betrayed James Potter by revealing their location to Voldemort.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Because of this Fidelis charm
Yes.
where there's like a secret keeper and a secret is stored within someone.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to know from the information if like, does that person even know the secret? Do they know that it's stored inside them? I'm still I have a lot of questions about the Fidelis charm.
Yeah, you have a lot of questions often about the magic. And remember,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. It's okay. That's not going to come up again. It's okay.
It's not going to come up again. I feel like that's really important.
The mechanics of the magic are not going to come up
Oh
again.
my goodness.
And it's not important.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Just the important part is that Sirius Black betrayed James Potter. That's the important part.
But he didn't clearly.
Why do you say that?
Because it's clearly they're setting it up to be, everyone is just like hating on how evil this Sirius Black character is. And like, he can't be. Like, something else is going on here. He just can't be.
Okay.
But that's okay.
Okay. Another cool thing that they talk about in this little section is Hagrid has a little moment where he gives a speech and he talks about how he was first on the scene to pick up Harry after his parents were killed.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember back in the first book, Hagrid arrives
On a
like at the very
motorcycle.
beginning on a motorcycle. Yeah. And we know, and he even mentions Sirius Black's name in the first book.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, I have to get this motorbike back to Sirius or something.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is kind of a cool connection to that where we actually see that motorbike and now we know that it was Sirius Black's and he
He like borrowed it.
gave it. Yeah,
He was
or
like, well, I got to take this baby. And Sirius Black was like, but I should take the baby. And Hagrid's like, nah, I'm going to take the baby and also take your bike.
Yeah.
But I'll bring it back.
Yeah.
But not the baby.
But not the baby.
But the bike.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of a cool connection. Anyway, so that was the huge info dump. Really important piece of information that luckily Cornelius Fudge was there to reveal. And then they leave. And
Yeah, but we also learned about this other character called Peter Pettigrew,
yes.
who wanted to be friends with James Potter and Sirius Black.
Mm-hmm.
And he was kind of like a tag along.
The next chapter is called The Firebolt, and this is when Christmas arrives. It's Christmas time. And basically the entire school is empty except for the three people that really need to be there, which is Ron, Harry, and Hermione.
How convenient.
It's so convenient that they're always there for Christmas. And I think they stay behind just to be with Harry because he got some really bad news about, his godfather and his dad, which is pretty tough.
They're good friends.
And so they all run down and they get their gifts. And lo and behold, Harry gets a firebolt, which who would have guessed it? No one except for Becki, because it was pretty obvious at the very beginning when he's like looking longingly at the firebolt that he will probably get a firebolt. And so he gets it and he's very excited, but there's no note. They don't know who it's from. And Hermione gets a little worried and she's like, I don't think you should ride that broom. I think it's probably sent from Sirius Black, who's trying to kill you. So she actually contacts, I guess she tells Professor McGonagall.
Contacts. She snitches.
She sends an email to Professor McGonagall. So she goes to Professor McGonagall and says this broom came, and she confiscates it. And Harry's not allowed to ride on it until they do some anti-jinx tests.
Yeah, that sounds made up.
Anti-jinx?
Yeah, just the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's a book. It's a fiction book. All of it's made up.
Hermione knows something she needs to share with the group. Why is she keeping stuff a secret?
What do you think she's keeping secret?
I don't know, but
You don't think she's just intuitive and observant and...
No, she's not intuitive, remember? Miss Trelawney?
They're not
she doesn't
mystically intuitive.
She doesn't have the seeing gift.
That's the other thing that happens in this chapter, actually, is they're all at Christmas dinner, and there's 12 of them sitting down around a table at Christmas dinner, and then Trelawney shows up.
Yes.
And Dumbledore's like, "Why don't you sit down and join us, Sybil?" And she's like, "No, I can't do that because then it'll be 13 people. And then everybody knows that when there's 13 people sitting around a table eating dinner, that the first person that gets up is going to die first."
I like that even in the magic world, superstition is viewed as okay. Just sit down.
Everyone's like, okay, just fucking sit down. We'll take the risk. And so that's the first thing that happens. And then they note that the first two people to get up basically at the same time are Ron and Harry.
Oh my gosh. Is one of them going to die?
Well, that's what Trelawney thinks.
Okay. She's a credible source. What else happens in this chapter?
I don't think much else happens.
They visit Hagrid, I think.
Oh, the whole Buckbeak thing.
Yeah. He's really upset about Buckbeak, and he also talks about his time in Azkaban, just a tiny bit, he mentions it, and they're like, oh, he's never brought this up before. He talks about kind of feeling like you're going mad and the ruminating thoughts. He just kept on thinking of these really sad, depressing things. And I'm like, they're just talking about depression. They're just talking about depression. How are they gonna, I don't know, address this whole thing? I'm interested to see where it goes. But that was cool.
Yeah, and the Buckbeak thing is important too. So Hagrid gets pardoned for his part in Buckbeak hurting Malfoy, but they are going to hold a trial for Buckbeak to see what they are going to do.
And he has to keep him latched up until...
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Sad.
And so he's crying about it, and Hermione, and everyone's like, we're going to help you. Don't worry. We're going to help you figure out what to do to help.
Oh yeah, she's like, I'll go check the law books, and they all go and try to look for cases to help. Yeah.
Don't you think that Hogwarts would have a lawyer?
Ooh, yeah, totally.
As a school, as an institution, don't you think they would just have a lawyer that works for them?
Definitely.
Because there's a lot of shit that happens at Hogwarts that would probably get the school in a lot of trouble.
Is there ever a lawyer?
No.
Oh, man.
Never. I was just thinking this is a perfect opportunity for that to come into play.
Yeah, that could be a cool character, but then would he be corrupt? He or she be corrupt, or good or a little of both.
It's just weird to me that Hagrid has to like figure out his own defense for this case, and because
With help of these 12-year-olds?
he's like a buffoon, so he can't do
Right.
it. So these 12-year-old kids, I think they're 13. Okay, I think they're 13 in this.
You're
book.
right. You're right.
The 13-year-olds are like, we'll study case law about
Yeah. Let's just think
about
back to
magical
ourselves
creatures.
in 7th grade.
So like, don't worry, we'll figure it out. Anyway, so that happens. I think that's mostly it for this chapter. And then the next chapter, chapter 12, is called the Patronus. And this is a pretty important one too, because this is where Harry starts his lessons with Professor Lupin.
Yeah. But first, I just want to say again, because I feel like I've brought this up, but Oliver Wood is going crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it's either the stress or like some other bigger thing. Every time we see Oliver Wood in this book, he is like unhinged.
He really wants to win that Quidditch Cup.
I think it's more than that, though.
That's the only thing he cares about.
Yeah, I think it's more than that, but okay.
No, he just really wants to win that Quidditch Cup.
Whatever. So yes, he has his special one-on-one lessons with Lupin.
Yeah.
To try to combat these Dementors that seem to like just really be, I don't know, effective on Harry, or do they affect him more than other people, or are they just around him more? I'm kind of confused why they're like latching on to him.
Well, Harry actually asked this question, I think, of Lupin, of why they affect him so significantly. Because, yeah, when they're around, really bad things are happening to Harry. Like he falls into this fog and he hears his mother, and then in this chapter he hears his father battling Voldemort, essentially, when they die, right before they die. And so he asked Lupin why this is happening to him, and Lupin just, I think his explanation is that Harry's been touched with negativity and death in his life more so than anybody else or most other people.
Sure.
And so since he has
more like darkness in him kind of thing, or
yeah,
trauma to feed off of.
Yeah, I think the trauma is a great one. It's he has so much trauma in his past life that the Dementors just affect him a little bit more so. And also the Dementors maybe are hanging around him a little bit more because they're looking for Sirius Black, and Sirius Black, it's assumed, is going after Harry.
Sure.
So maybe there's that in there as well.
Okay, I have a question about kind of the Dementors and that whole thing.
Okay.
Because in their lessons, they talk about the Dementors feeding off of happy memories. But does that really make sense? Like, wouldn't they be feeding off of like your fears and your negative memories and these traumatic things that have happened? Like, why? I don't quite understand.
Yeah, it's a little confusing. I think Dementors kind of feed off of happy thoughts, good memories, good emotions, and leave everything else behind.
Okay.
That's why you get really sad, because
Right,
you
'cause
literally feel like the happiness is leaving you and that you are never going to be happy again.
Right.
So there, I think the explanation that they use is like Dementors kind of suck that happiness out of you until
all
there's
you're left
there's
with
nothing
is.
left.
So then wouldn't Dementors be like really happy?
I don't know. Maybe.
No.
Maybe they are really happy.
Maybe.
Maybe they're living life right now and they're just loving it.
Oh yeah, we learn about this like Dementor's kiss, which is like the final level of Dementor
final level.
battle. Where they take down their hood and suck the life out of you.
They suck your soul out of you, not your life. And Lupin says specifically, they take your soul, not your life. And that's like worse than dying, is living without a soul. So Harry learns this Patronus charm, and it's a way to defend against Dementors. And essentially what it is you have to think of a very happy memory. You have to have a very happy thought in your head, and you kind of funnel that into your magic, and you create essentially a barrier between yourself and the Dementor that kind of fends them off. And the explanation is a little weird, but it seems like your kind of happy thoughts are manifested in this barrier. And so the Dementors are blocked and they're kind of like forced to feed off of that instead of you. And then Lupin even says, because I think Harry brings up the question, he's like, I thought this would like kind of charge down the Dementors and force them to go away. And Lupin says, the more advanced stages of this does do that. But what you're able to do is just kind of create that barrier. And he says it's very advanced magic. It's very hard to do. And that for a third year in Hogwarts, it's remarkable that he can do anything at all.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of what the Patronus is.
That's cool. That's like the most important thing that happens in the chapter. But there's also this building tension and rivalry between Ron and Hermione because of Crookshanks and Scabbers, and Hermione's just being weird and elusive. And also, again, they're bringing up how is she taking all these classes? Like, she's definitely time traveling. Like, we know that, right?
You know that. It's not obvious to people that are like,
well,
just
how else
reading the
is
book
she
for the first
in
time.
all of these classes at the same time?
When I first read this book, I had no idea that it was time travel because time travel is not mentioned or brought up in any way at all before this book and before it's revealed.
Gotcha.
And so I had no idea what was going on. And now that I'm reading it again, and now that you're reading it, but you already know that there's time travel in the story, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But
is it something you just kind of like read past whenever you're reading it for the first time? You're just like, yeah, that's weird. Okay.
Yeah, you kind of dismiss it because you're like, okay, it's Hermione, whatever.
Yeah, she must be like Mrs. Doubtfiring it, like popping into each class or whatever.
Yeah.
Hello. Exactly.
So, yeah, this chapter ends, as you were saying, with the kind of tension between Ron and Hermione when Ron goes up to his room and there's like his sheet is covered in blood and Crookshanks killed Scabbers.
Crookshanks didn't kill Scabbers. We know that, right?
We are left believing that Crookshanks killed Scabbers.
Okay, but once again, way too obvious. It's something else is going on, right?
Yeah.
Scabbers is like sick though, or at least stressed out. He's looking all
He's all skinny and hair's coming out.
Yeah. But anyway, there's blood on the sheet and we don't know what it's from.
Right.
Or who did it.
But Ron thinks it's Scabbers.
Ron
that's
thinks
been
it's
killed.
Scabbers has been just straight up killed, which is sad.
Oh, and Harry gets his broom back, the firebolt.
Yes.
They're done doing all of the tests on it, and he gets it back.
Yep.
So that's kind of the end of those 3 chapters. Okay, so I have a question for you.
Okay.
Patronuses, to make one, you have to think of a really happy memory, something that is like the most happy you've ever been in your life, and you use that to ward off the Dementors. What memory would you use to create a Patronus?
This is kind of silly, but something that I kind of go to as a memory that I'm really happy about or really proud of. I have like this very distinct memory of, so all when I was growing up, I really wanted to move to LA. I really wanted to work in movies. It was like my whole big life goal since I was like 7. And I think I asked my dad like what California was. And he was just like, oh, just like tons of people everywhere, all over the place. And I was like, yes, I want to go to there. And so like that started it when I was 7. I was really obsessed with California. And then when I was like a teenager, I saw the original Pirates of the Caribbean movie in theaters. And I was like, I want to make costumes for movies. Like that's what I want to do. And so that's what I kind of started on the path to do, but it took a lot of hard work. Like I wasn't someone that just like, moved to LA after high school with my parents' money or whatever. It took a lot of years and hard work and saving money and all of that thing to be able to move myself to LA on my own without a job, just being like, I think I can figure this out. And anyway, fast forward, I did end up working in the, getting work in the movie industry and working on costumes. And I just remember probably like maybe 3 or 4 months after I had moved there, and I had just gotten like my first full-time show, and I was working. I was doing exactly what I had moved there to do, and I was driving on this highway in LA, and I was like it was like overlooking the city, and I could like see all of like the city lights, and I like finally had full-time work, and I was like good, and I was secure, and I was just like so overwhelmed with happiness that I had like done it, that I had like made a plan, and I had worked so hard for so many years, and I had done it. And so sometimes, I don't know, I just think of like that moment of like looking out over the city, seeing all the lights, and I don't know, just being really happy and feeling like I am capable of accomplishing something that seems out of reach for a lot of people, or that, I can figure it out, whatever that next goal may be,
That's a really nice story.
Thanks.
I have a similar one.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, there's like a ton of really happy memories throughout my life. I think it would be really hard to pick one in the moment if I was like face down with a Dementor. Yeah, I have a very happy memory of going to California as well, because I moved to California for the first time when I was going to school to get my master's degree. And I have a similar story where I arrived, I kind of went through the process, and then I think the day that I got there and the day that like my grad program started, I was out on a pier and just kind of like taking in the scene around me, taking in the ocean, taking in the mountains. It was in San Diego. And it was just, it was an overwhelming, happy feeling of accomplishment. Like I made it here. I got accepted into this program. Here I am. And really excited also about kind of the next steps. But I also have like a ton of other like really happy memories.
Yeah.
I love music, and sometimes I just am overwhelmed with happiness when I'm listening to really good music or I'm at a concert. I love hiking and doing things in the outdoors. And I remember when I was training to hike the John Muir Trail, and on one of my training hikes, I was hiking up Mount Baldy in California, and I got to the top, and it was just like, it was just me. There was no one else there. And it was just so beautiful. And I felt so accomplished and felt so ready to take on the challenge that I was taking on. That was a really happy memory. And also, frankly, I have really happy memories of just us together doing silly things, like sitting on the couch and watching something and just being really goofy and really silly. And I think those are probably what I'd go to most of the time.
That's really sweet.
All right, are you ready to make predictions now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so for those of you just joining us, Becki is going to make predictions for chapters 13, 14, and 15 of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. But in order to do that, I have to give her some information. So I am going to tell her the names of those 3 chapters. I'm going to tell her the major characters in those 3 chapters. And I'm going to tell her the major locations in those 3 chapters. And then I'm going to tell her important little tidbits, important curios, important pieces of information that are going to help her kind of connect the dots and make a pretty coherent prediction. Now, this can be really difficult. We're getting into parts of the story where the plot's moving forward, but there's still so much. These books are very kind of complicated. They go in every different direction, and they can kind of be hard to predict. So Becki's going to give it her best shot. Are you ready to hear all the information?
Yes.
All right. Chapter 13 is called Gryffindor versus Ravenclaw. I wonder if you can guess what's happening there. Chapter 14 is called Snape's Grudge, and chapter 15 is called The Quidditch Final. Again, very, very confusing title. In these 3 chapters, the main characters that play an important role are Harry, Ron, and Hermione, Oliver Wood, some Dementors, Malfoy, Crabbe, Goyle, and Marcus Flint, Sirius Black, Neville, Hagrid, Snape, Lupin, Trelawney, Crookshanks the cat, and a large black dog. That's a lot of characters. The important locations are the Quidditch pitch, the Gryffindor common room, the boys' dorm room, Hagrid's hut, Hogsmeade, the tunnel to Hogsmeade, Care of Magical Creatures class, Charms class, Divination class, and the Quidditch pitch again. And then the main tidbits, important curios that come up in these chapters are the Marauders map and the Shrieking Shack. Those rhyme.
Hey.
That's fun.
Kind of. Slant rhyme.
Yeah, slant rhyme. All right, are you ready to go?
Yeah.
Go for it.
All right, so we got chapter 13, Showdown between Gryffindor versus Ravenclaw. They've been mentioning kind of like the Quidditch matches and what has been happening, like this team beat this team, so therefore we could maybe beat this team and then get to, I don't know. It's been going on in the background. I haven't really been paying that much attention because we all know who the final two teams are going to be at the end. So this is clearly some semifinal or whatever to see who's going to play Slytherin, right? So big match. Harry's got his new firebolt. That's going to be exciting and cool. I don't think we've really seen a match with other teams, have we?
Yeah, not too often. I think earlier in this book, they play Hufflepuff.
Right.
And they lose because Harry falls off his broom.
Right.
And now they're playing
Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So that'll happen. Maybe that announcer kid will be back and he'll be like, 50 points, Ravenclaw or whatever, you know. What was the kid's name?
Jordan Lee.
Jordan Lee. Not Lee Jordan.
It might be Lee Jordan. It is Lee Jordan.
Oh boy. Okay, we'll find out. Maybe. And the Dementors are going to show up because the Dementors are just like out there all over the place, right?
Yeah, they're just hanging around the school grounds. They're like at the borders of the school property.
Yeah, so they're hanging out. They're going to close in, but this time Harry has his Patronus charm. I'm going to say that Harry uses his Patronus charm, but it's really powerful. And instead of like just protecting Harry, maybe it like protects everyone. Like it's a big shield instead of just like a little shield. So that happens and everyone's like, whoa, that's crazy. How did he do that? Like this is already a really advanced charm for a third year, as we've established, right? So Harry protects everyone. And then in the next chapter, Snape's grudge, Snape is like mad that Harry's so powerful, right? Because Snape is always trying to kind of like put Harry in his place and all of this. And so he's mad that either Harry's getting all this attention or just that Harry is like super duper powerful and maybe he wishes he was that powerful or something. So he takes it out on Gryffindor. I think he maybe bans like all of Gryffindor from going to Hogsmeade. So Harry, Ron, Hermione, Neville, they all can't go to Hogsmeade, but all of Slytherin, Malfoy, Crabbe, Goyle, Marcus, Flint, I don't remember who that is, they're going to Hogsmeade. But Gryffindor people are left behind. But luckily, Harry's like, guys, I got this map. And Hermione's like, no, we can't do that. But Harry's like, well, we're going to do it anyway because we got to go to Hogsmeade. So they all go in the tunnel to Hogsmeade and Neville is with them because they got to bring Neville back. There have been too many like little mentions about Neville. He's got to get back in the action somehow. They all sneak to Hogsmeade and they run into Hagrid. And then Hagrid takes them to the Shrieking Shack, which is maybe a place in Hogsmeade. You know what I kind of thought of whenever I read the Shrieking Shack? I thought of have you ever been to like a rage room? Or do you know what a rage room is?
Is that where you just like beat up
Where you
stuff
just like
with a bat or something?
Yeah, exactly. Like take a baseball bat to like a
stress.
TV or whatever. Yeah, so I thought it would be funny if the Shrieking Shack is a place where you can like take out all your anger and just like scream and like throw things.
I like that idea.
And so like it's a way to kind of like get out your emotions. Like Harry can scream about like his parents and like, I don't know. It's probably not this kind of place, but I'm saying it's a place where they can go and get out some of their frustration and rage. So that's what the Shrieking Shack is. Probably not, but that's okay. Yeah. And then they have to go back to Hogwarts and go through a couple more classes. Trelawney's maybe still predicting that Ron or Harry, like one of them, is going to die, I guess. And I feel like Sirius Black is like closing in, right? Like we had the claw marks on the painting. We have this bloody sheet, which I think that Sirius Black has something to do with that. And I also think that Sirius Black is this black dog or this Grim or whatever that's been following Harry around. I think it's all one and the same. Kind of goes back to my werewolf prediction. So I think all of that's going to start to line up. And they have a final Quidditch match against Slytherin and they win. And Oliver Wood is happy. The end.
That's great. Thank you so much for those predictions, Becki. We're now going to go read those chapters, figure out what happens, see if Becki is right or wrong, and we'll be back next week to talk about it. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We really appreciate you tuning in. We have some social medias. We have a website called mugglesguide.com. We have an Instagram and a Twitter. Follow us on any of those if you want to stay up to date on what's going on. And we hope that you share this with your family and friends, and we hope that you're having a good time sharing the journey with us. And we're getting through this book, actually. I think we're a little bit more than halfway, so we'll be finishing up in a couple of weeks. Thanks, everyone, and we will talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.